This week, I eat a Johnny Burger.
Hi, can I have a Johnny Burger, please?
Land on the world's shortest runway and search for something I left on an island 5 years ago.
It is!
As I land in two of the world's most extreme airports in one day. But first, it's time to head to
St. Martin, home to some of the most extreme flights in the whole world. Let's go and get checked in for flight number 1 of the day. Hi, good morning. How are you? Checking in, please. Perfect, thank you. That's for the way back. Nice one, thank you very much. Checked in for the first flights of the day across to one of the most extreme runways in the world. I am so looking forward to this. St. Martin is like a ghost town at this time of the morning. I'm not expecting it to be like this all day. They're all international flights, even though they're like 15-20 minute flights, because every island here is basically a different country. We're in the Dutch Antilles at the minute. We're going to go in and out between the Netherlands and French islands all day.
You need any sugar, love?
No, thank you. Sweet enough.
Okay,
thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, so I've got me $5 cup of pod coffee. I was thinking $5, they're going to make it by hand. They're going to like put the espresso in and grind it, like they normally do. No, just put a pod in an espresso machine. It's coffee though, that's all that I need. Anyway, I'm flying on Win Air today on several of their flights on Twin Otters. They fly from here across to some of these really cool places. The first one we're doing at St. Barts Airport is the one where you fly down a really steep slope, like literally feet above the ground, and then have to sort of flare before you touch down. It's a very, very difficult airport to land. One of the most tricky ones in the world. I've tried doing it. We only made it halfway and then the weather came in and the weather was no good for us to continue. I've tried doing it in flight sim and not made it every single time. It's a very, very difficult airport to land at. So yeah, we're going to see what it's like today.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, thank you.
And so here we were then, time to board the first flight of the day on Win Air's trusty Twin Otter. These little planes hop between the islands all day long, and today they'll be taking me into some of the world's most extreme airports. Or at least that was the plan.
Sure about external, offline, possibly on.
You see, it turns out that you can't go anywhere if they can't get the engine started.
Welcome, flight deck captain speaking. This time we're going to ask everyone to please disembark the airplane. So apparently we'll be having some issues with the starting sequence on our right engine. What's going to happen is we're going to ask you to please disembark the airplane. Maintenance will have to check the airplane before this flight continues.
So before we'd even taken off, the first adventure of the day was already falling apart.
All right, back inside again. So they couldn't get the number 2 engine started. Apparently this plane had exactly the same issue yesterday. They managed to get it going eventually. So I just looked on Flight Radar, and when this plane had the same issue yesterday, they ended up cancelling the flight. So who knows? There aren't another Twin Otters here, so we may not end up going to St. Barts today, which would be frustrating if true.
But eventually, after much drama, a bus appeared. A bus that would take us to another Twin Otter.
Hi, good morning, how are you? Let's try again, this one's working, right?
As it turned out, this one was indeed working, and so we taxied out to the runway to try again. And so, with both engines actually running, we lumbered into the Caribbean sky, on what should be a short, simple hop just 12 minutes across to the island of St. Barts.
Alright, we are finally airborne from St. Martin. Different planes, same seats, same vibes. We are heading to St. Barts, and I think we've got the second best seat in the house.
St. Barts is no ordinary destination. The runway at St. Barts sits just beyond a steep hill, forcing pilots to dive over the road, pass feet above the ground, and flare at the very last second. It's one of the most extreme landings in the world. And with the island in sight, now it was our turn. And just like that, we'd survived one of the most extreme approaches in the world. Now all I had to do was survive the rest of the day.
Okay guys, come on.
This video is brought to you by Surfshark. Now, as you guys know, there is nothing I enjoy more in the world than surfing. I'd even go so far as to say I'm actually pretty good at it. Well, not this sort of surfing. Obviously, I'm not very good at this. It's far too cold and wet for my liking. I much prefer a different sort of surfing. Surfing the web. I'm really good at that and I can spend hours at it. You see, thanks to Surfshark, surfing the web is a lot more pleasurable and safer too. Surfshark's a VPN that encrypts all of your data, even when I'm travelling on public airport hotspots and Wi-Fi, on planes, in hotels, you name it. Whenever I'm on public Wi-Fi, my data's safe because I'm encrypted through the Surfshark VPN. You see, a VPN encrypts your data, which means that you're not leaving anything on display for the rest of the world to see. Even when I'm not travelling though, Surfshark comes in handy because I can sit and watch TV as if I'm anywhere else in the world, which is really handy because I live here in the States. Thanks to Surfshark, I can still watch my favourite TV programmes with Susie, like Gogglebox. Super easy to install. You go on the website, you download it and install it, you sign into your account, and then you can choose whichever country you'd like to connect through. Right now, Surfshark are offering you 4 extra months completely free of charge at surfshark.com/Noel Phillips.
All right, welcome to St. Barts. Wow, what an approach and landing that is. I've done this before. I was very lucky. I came here a few years ago. During COVID, I came here in 2020. The whole vibe here was completely different then. It was deserted, and now look at it. It's like a bustling metropolis compared to what it was back in 2020. Honestly, that is one of my favourite approach and landings in the world to do. Got another cool one later that I've not done yet, but for now I'm going to head up to the roundabout up the top of the hill where you can watch the planes coming in. Go and have a look and do a bit of plane spotting, shall we? Right, this is the famous roundabout at the end of the runway. What we're missing now is some planes. There is one, I think, on its way in now from St. Martin, so let's see if we can spot him.
Now, most flights into St. Barts are on Win Air's Twin Otters, but you also get a lot of private turboprops like this Pilatus PC-12 that's just come in from St. Martin. Tradewind and St. Barts Commuter both have bases here too.
Right, so last time I was here, I left something behind at the other end of the runway. And I'm wondering if it's still there. For 5 years, I've been curious. So I'm going to take a quick nip down there. The beach is just down here, at the bottom end of the runway. What's that little thing? What? You know, I have some weird cars here. For some reason as well, an absolute ton of Chinese-built cars here as well, like knockoff Jeeps and Broncos and stuff like that. Loads of them. Here we go. All right, now is what I left here still here? Let's see, let's see, let's see, let's see. Let's see, I'm sure it was... It is! Someone's covered me up with a British Airways one though. There's me. Yay, I'm still here 5 years later. 5 years later, I'm still here. At the end of the runway at St. Barts. How cool is that? I never thought it would still be here.
Still there, but albeit slightly faded, I just had one more job to do before I headed back to the airport.
Alright, I think I need to regain my status here as the king of St. Barts. Once again, fresh-faced. Right, I need to go and get checked in because it's time now to get on board my next flight, which we're going to leave from here and we're going to head somewhere even cooler than St. Barts. I don't think you can get even cooler than St. Barts. This is pretty flipping cool, but the runway we're going to next is going to be even more special.
As yet another twin otter came hurtling down the slope, it was my turn to leave St. Barts behind and head back to St. Martin to continue my great adventure. And in came my ride back across to St. Martin, Winnair's workhorse twin otter again. There was good news too. This twin otter came with 2 functioning engines. As we left St. Barts behind, I couldn't help but reflect on what had just happened. This tiny island, with its perilous dive over the hill, had delivered one of the most extreme landings anywhere in the world, and a departure to match. But for all its madness, this was only the beginning, because ahead lay something even more extraordinary. A runway perched on the edge of a cliff, barely longer than an aircraft carrier. My next flight was to Saba. Alright, back in St. Martin, I've got my free tote bag and $100 off some vastly overpriced crappy jewellery. Let's go and get checked in for the next flight, because the next one, well, I would say it's probably a bit cooler, because now we're about to take a flight to the world's shortest runway. Hi, checking in for Saba, please.
Saba?
Yes.
You're back fast?
No.
I did give you a return boarding pass.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you gave me a return boarding pass. I just got back off that one, and then now we do Saba.
If I knew this was this early, I could have given you a Saba boarding pass as well. You coming back today?
Yeah.
For you to come back?
All right.
This is for you to go. 320.
Nice one. Thank you.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
So you're gonna go at the Seagate.
Amazing. Other end this time. Thank you. Thanks. Have a great day. Once again, all checked in for Winnair, another twin otter. This time they were going from the Sea Gates, which is the other end of the terminal. Let's get back through security. It's a bit busier now than it was this morning. Right, nice and easy through security and passport again. Still got my bag. For some reason. That was quite funny actually. The security guy's like, wait a minute, you came through here this morning. I says, yeah, I'm back again. Like a bad smell. Choices. Do I have a Wendy's burger? Or do I have a Johnny burger? I think I'll give the Johnny burger a miss. Second thoughts actually. It's a bit long, the line at Wendy's. I think we might have to have a Johnny burger. Hi, can I have a SXM Johnny burger please? And a Diet Coke.
You need a bag?
I should be good then. Just need my drink please. Thank you very much. Thanks, see you. Right then, time to have a taste of me Johnny burger. It's a bit rubbery, nice and cheesy, which I like. So with my Johnny burger swallowed, it was time to move on to something a little shorter. The world's shortest runway. Thank you. This was my ride across to Saba then, another Winnair twin otter.
Watch your step, watch your head at the top.
Thank you. So with the props spinning and the noise building, this little plane was about to take me to a runway unlike anywhere else on planet Earth. It's only an 11-minute hop from St. Martin to the tiny island of Saba, but those few minutes would take me to the shortest commercial runway in the world, a strip perched on the edge of a cliff.
Alright then, we are airborne one more time today, heading to the shortest runway in the world, Saba. It's just 400 metres long, or about 1,300 feet. Just to put that into perspective, the runway we've just taken off on from St. Martin could fit the runway at Saba in 6 times. I had a 10-minute flight over there. I am so unbelievably excited to see what it's like.
And there it was, the tiny island of Saba rising dramatically out of the ocean. That strip of tarmac you can see ahead, well that's it, 400 metres long, the shortest commercial runway in the world, built on the only flat piece of land on the entire island, carved out of the rock and surrounded by cliffs and ocean. Right now, it was our turn to try and land here. And just like that, we were down on the world's shortest runway. Touchdown to taxiway in under 175 metres, that's just 500 feet.
Alright then, welcome to the island of Saba, the world's shortest commercial runway there. Plane's just taken off to go back to St Martin now. I've got about 1 hour here on the ground, then we're going to go and get checked in. I do have to say, by the way, I stand by my statement. You never meet an angry Dutchman. I've never met an angry Dutchman. They're all lovely. So I don't know what you guys are on over there or over here, but yeah, lovely. Anyway, we're in Saba, man. Don't ever do that again. Yeah, this is why the runway here is so short. This is the only flat spot on the island, and it's just long enough to squeeze in a tiny little runway because you've got all of these mountains and stuff here, and it looks a bit. You see right up there, like, these mountains are so tall they're right up in the clouds.
And the reason this runway is so short? Well, you've got the bottom at one end and Booby Hill looming over the other. Pretty soon though, my plane was on final approach. And yes, this airport really is this small. I had time to film the plane landing from the car park, head through the airport and out to the gate before it even shut down the engines. Now, if only Houston was this efficient.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. See you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
watch the channel, man.
Oh,
Big
nice
fan.
one. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, man.
Alright, it's time for the flight back to St Martin. Apparently the takeoff here is probably the more risky bit than the landing because it's such a short runway. And planes typically need a bit more room to take off than they do to land. Let's see what it's like taking off from the USS Saba or the DSS, NLSS, whatever the Dutch version is. Anyway, we're about to take off. Let's get out of here.
And with the props screaming away at the side of me, it was time to backtrack down the runway using every inch of this tiny strip of tarmac. And just like that, we were airborne off the shortest runway in the world and out over the ocean.
Holy crap, that was cool. Wow. That honestly is probably next to Lukla in Nepal, the coolest takeoff I've ever done. Literally. Just rolled off the end of the runway into air like an aircraft carrier. Incredible. Wow.
As we left Saba behind, I couldn't help but reflect on what had been an extraordinary day. From the chaos of St Martin to the insane dive into St Barts and finally that ridiculous cliff-top strip on Saba itself. I'd flown to two of the most extreme airports in the world in the same day. And while St Martin might have seemed ordinary by comparison now, there was nothing ordinary about what I'd just experienced. This was flying at its most raw, its most dramatic, and its most unforgettable.
Right, welcome back to St Martin. What an absolutely awesome couple of flights. But let me know down below which is your favourite of those two. Have you been to one that's not even that well known perhaps? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below if there's anywhere else you'd like to see me go like this. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.